You live surrounded by voices, screens, movement, yet something inside you feels untouched, unseen. The world is loud, but your inner life is quiet in a way that feels heavy, unfinished. You move through conversations without being met. You are present, yet absent. This is not loneliness as the absence of people. This is loneliness as the absence of understanding, a deeper kind, one that does not announce itself. You wake each day and perform your role. You answer when spoken to. You fulfill expectations. From the outside, nothing is wrong. From the inside, something is missing. You sense it during pauses, in the moments between tasks, when the noise drops and a strange stillness appears. In that stillness, there is a question forming, but no one has taught you how to ask it. Society teaches you to fear this silence. It fills every gap with distraction, every empty space with sound. Silence is framed as failure. Being alone is framed as being left behind. So you stay surrounded, even when connection is shallow. You stay busy, even when your spirit is tired. Then one day, quietly, the path narrows. You notice you no longer move at the same rhythm as the crowd. What once felt normal now feels distant. This is the moment no one warned you about. Not a collapse, a separation. Understand this. This silence is not punishment. It is a threshold, and every path towards strength begins here. Whether you are ready or not, there is a tension inside you that rarely speaks clearly. One side fears isolation, the other fears stagnation. You feel it when you consider stepping away from familiar ground. The anxiety of losing approval competes with the deeper dread of remaining unchanged. Society conditions you early to belong, to stay in step, to move with the group. Approval becomes currency. Disagreement becomes danger. You learn to measure yourself by proximity to others, to fear falling behind their milestones, their opinions, their pace, and so you stay, even when something inside you resists. The cost is subtle but accumulating. Each time you ignore your own direction, a small fracture forms. You begin to feel divided. Comfort chains the spirit quietly. It does not demand anything from you, but it takes something in return. Your edge, your honesty, your forward momentum. Staying where you no longer belong creates a slow erosion of identity. You start to forget who you are beneath adaptation. The first step away from the crowd feels like betrayal, of others, of yourself. But it is not abandonment. It is courage in its earliest form. A willingness to be misunderstood rather than misaligned. The fear does not disappear when you step away. It follows you for a while, but it loses authority, because something else begins to rise. Miyamoto Musashi did not drift into solitude. He chose it. Early in life, he stepped away from convention, from community expectations, from the safety of belonging. Ancient Japan was not forgiving to those who walked alone. Survival demanded alliances, protection, structure. Musashi left anyway. He wandered not as exile, but as discipline. Each step without witnesses sharpened him. Each night without reassurance forced him inward. Solitude was not an escape. It was training. Walking alone meant every mistake had consequences. Every decision mattered. He chose uncertainty over comfort, exposure over shelter. In a world where solitude tested survival, he treated it as a forge. There were no crowds to impress, no voices to soften doubt. Only his breath, his awareness, and the weight of responsibility for his own path. This separation carved clarity. Musashi learned to stand without external anchors. His strength did not come from validation. It came from repetition, observation, and silence. You must understand this. Separation is not rejection of the world. It is refusal to be diluted by it. Musashi did not walk alone because he was antisocial. He walked alone because mastery requires space. The crowd offers safety, but at a cost. In groups, instinct dulls. Edges soften. You begin to outsource judgment. Noise replaces clarity. Consensus replaces truth. The crowd rewards harmony, not precision. Belonging becomes more valuable than becoming. In constant agreement, you lose your internal compass. You speak less honestly. You act less decisively. Emotional safety is prioritized over personal truth. This feels good in the short term. In the long term, it weakens you. The crowd does not want mastery. It wants predictability. Those who sharpen themselves too much create discomfort. They remind others of what they have avoided. So the crowd pressures you to smooth yourself down, to stay relatable, to stay small. Warriors step away before this softening happens, not out of arrogance, but necessity. Strength cannot be developed in constant negotiation. Clarity requires silence. When you leave the crowd, you feel exposed. But exposure is honest. And honesty is where strength grows. Solitude removes illusions. Without distraction, ego surfaces. Old fears speak. Doubt grows louder before it fades. This is why most avoid being alone. Silence forces confrontation. You face yourself without filters. This confrontation hurts. It reveals contradictions, weaknesses, unresolved grief, but it also reveals capacity. Solitude is heat, pressure, time. Like a forge, it does not destroy indiscriminately. It reshapes. When you stay inside solitude instead of escaping it, something shifts. The chaos settles. Patterns emerge. You learn where you are strong and where you are avoiding growth. Pain becomes precise instead of overwhelming. This is refinement. Loneliness becomes purpose. The forge does not care about your comfort. It cares about your form. Musashi trained without recognition. His discipline survived invisibility. Modern life teaches you to seek validation constantly, to measure progress by response. But applause creates dependency. Standing without applause builds inner authority. You begin to trust your own standards. You act because it is right, not because it is seen. This quiet confidence is rare. It cannot be shaken by opinion because it was not built on it. Isolation strips away performance. What remains is commitment. Self-trust replaces approval. This is how authority is forged. Solitude dismantles identity. Roles fall away. Names lose meaning. You grieve versions of yourself that no longer fit. Ego resists this death. It clings to familiarity. Musashi shed attachments deliberately. This was not destruction. It was shedding. Psychological death makes space for precision. The pain of this process is necessary. You cannot carry old armor into new battles. Letting go feels like loss. It is actually alignment. Stillness sharpens perception. Alone, you see patterns others miss. Timing improves. Patience deepens. Strategy forms quietly. Musashi's clarity was born here. Above chaos. Away from noise. Solitude becomes a vantage point. You begin to see clearly because nothing is pulling at you. Freedom arrives when alignment is internal. You stop asking permission. Fear dissolves because direction is clear. Musashi moved without consensus. He trusted his compass. Separation earned this freedom. You begin to walk unburdened by approval. The alone path does not end. It integrates. You return to the world without being absorbed by it. Opinion no longer shakes you. Noise no longer commands you. Strength becomes quiet. Permanent, you walk calmly. Awake.